All right, I'm currently on the line with John Leibel. He is a musician that I have spoken with before, way back in 2021. So we're going to go ahead and get an update from John. Why don't you go ahead and remind everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, hey everybody. So I'm John Leibel. I currently I am with Mystigard and Original Tough Guys, but I'll get into that in a moment. I guess most recognized for my time in Thor. Toured all over the world with them, recorded a bunch of albums on Cleopatra Records from like 2016 up until right around 2022, 2021, 2022, right around there. So had a good year, few year run with that, and then locally here in Minnesota, I had Dawn of Valor going from 2008 up until June of this year. I've also booked at the MMC Minnesota Music Cafe for the Metal Night. Did a good 10-year run from 2008 to 2018, and now I'm getting back into it. So I'm going to be returning to booking there with my second show back at it October 9th.
Awesome. That's very cool. We'll definitely talk about that as well. So let's kind of just go over kind of what has happened. Since we haven't spoken since 2021, obviously a lot's gone on. You've obviously started Mystigard. Tell me a bit about kind of where music has taken you since last we spoke.
Yeah, so, first of all, totally not done with the Thor stuff. Still good friends with him. Looking to, we're looking at doing some collaboration for the next album, and he's actually reissuing a couple of songs that I wrote for him previously for this next compilation that's coming up. So, though Thor's not my full-time thing, it's not like there's any bad blood or anything there. We just kind of slowed things down, that's all. Uh, yeah, I mean, so I got that going, and then right around Christmas time, I joined Mystigard. So now that was a project that was started by bass player Ted Jedlicki, who played with Dawn of Valor. That's where I originally met him, and that's kind of like how he got himself introduced into the local metal community, was during his run with Dawn of Valor. I then took Ted with me when the Thor gig came around. He was the first guy I called after Thor said, "Hey, put together a backing band for me," right? So I've been all over the world with Ted. Basically, what happened was, in 2019, I had a kid and stuff, and then I kind of took a step back from music for a little bit there. Getting some career stuff in order. Really had to get the day job stuff figured out and really put myself in a better spot there, which took a couple of years. And then, I also got into drinking a little too much during the quarantine times, like everyone does. So I closed the bar back in 2023, and have been alcohol free since. So that's a good thing. And then right around when I joined Mystigard, that was, it was right around Christmas time. I was talking with Ted, and I was like, yeah, it's time to get back into it. I got work stuff figured out. Family life's good. Got my stuff together, right? Got my shit together, got my act together. So it's like, all right, let's get back at it now.
Yeah, let me jump in here real quick. First of all, congratulations on the 3 years sober. How did Dawn of Valor go? Are you still in that, or are you doing two projects at once, sort of thing?
No, so here's what happened with that. So Dawn of Valor, I put that band on the shelf when the Thor thing came on, right? So when I started touring and recording with Thor and stuff, it was also a time where I wasn't really keeping a good permanent lineup. Dawn of Valor kind of became a revolving door. And let me put it this way, that it was a good thing that I put it on the shelf because I needed the perspective. Because I was at a point where I was the only original member left in the band. At that point, Ted moved on to other projects. And then, just we were on our third singer at the time, our third co-guitar player. God, I want to say drummers probably into the double digits because we had some dudes that lasted maybe a gig or two. Right. So we definitely had a Spinal Tap thing going with drummers. So it was a good time to put that on hold because
Mm-hmm.
I looked at Dawn of Valor. I go, this is not what I envisioned it to be anymore, right? And it was just like, it almost felt like a shell of its former self.
Okay.
I mean, the talent was there, but um, all the guys in the band at that point, like that traditional power metal stuff, wasn't their thing. But they wanted to play in the band because they knew I would get gigs and I wasn't just gonna keep it inactive, right? So when it came time to getting ready to write new material, then really everyone's influences started colliding, and it just, it was like, oh, well, this isn't really working. So the Thor thing was really good to just put that on the shelf because I then left it dormant until this year when the Mystigard thing came about. Um, I told Ted, I was like, dude, I can't really do two projects full bore, right? If I'm gonna do this, I want to pick one and do it right. So let's put Dawn of Valor to bed and let's get Mystigar up off the ground because he already took the big first steps by getting recordings out there with studio guys, right? And then he was able to put together a lineup, and he did one show which went really well for the boys down at Reggie's there for I forget which metal fest it was, but it was one of the festivals that they do down there every year at Reggie's. It's like a 2-day thing. They played one of the days. I played it with Thor years ago. I just can't remember the name of the damn festival for the life of me. I'm sure it'll come to me as soon as we hang up.
Most likely, yeah.
But anyways, so I was like, hey, look, let's put Dawn of Valor to bed. Well, so then I started getting together a lineup for Dawn of Valor. It's like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get a show booked. Again, this is Christmas time so Christmas of just this last year, right? So
Sure,
I'm thinking,
sure.
okay, for me to get the rust off, get a lineup, get a show. I'm going to shoot for a personal goal of I want to be back on stage by the time I turn 40. Well, it worked out where I was able to book Dawn of Valor's last show on my 40th birthday at the Minnesota Music Cafe, which was very much a homecoming for me. And we had a great product to stand behind with that. The EP that we put out to put the band to bed is far and away the most proud of I've ever been of a recording that I played on. Production wise, we went with Will Miravalis for basic tracking, but then we had Dan Swano mix and master it. And between Will laying the groundwork and getting a good foundation for us, and then Dan really taking off with the mixing and mastering, I mean, I couldn't be happier with the results. It's something I can look back on and go, yep, this is exactly what Dawn of Valor needed to sound like. And the fun part about that is as I was putting the band back together, we had yet another lineup change. And Terry, the lead singer from Mystigard, stepped in and he became the final voice of Valor. So he was our fourth and final lead singer. You can hear him on the EP. You saw him at the show back in June. So it's like, okay, really cool, and that was, I've always liked Terry's voice. He was a good singer because we used him as our stand-in Thor when we would rehearse. He would play the part of Thor for us for rehearsals because we weren't going to fly Thor out from Vancouver just to do rehearsals, right? So he was our local Thor for rehearsal stuff, which worked out great. So I was already used to kind of working with him. He's already, already knew he was a super cool dude, great singer, all that stuff. So it was really fun to get him in for Dawn of Valor, give him a chance to write some of his own lyrics for a couple of the tunes and really put his stamp on it. Which it was just so satisfying, because again, I just look at that album, that EP, and I'm like, yep, that's exactly what we need to sound like. That's exactly what we need to be. There it is, right?
Okay, and that was
so
only
now,
a couple months ago. Is there going to be more Dawn of Valor shows, or?
Nope, Dawn of Valor is done. So
Okay.
because Ted, myself, and Terry are all in Mystigard,
Oh, I suppose.
we're just going to... Now, that being said, Terry and Ted don't want to stop necessarily playing Dawn of Valor songs. So if you come to a Mystigard show, don't be surprised if you hear a DOV tune or two.
Sure.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but moving forward, yeah, Mystigard is the main focus. So I wanted to make sure I did it right and get that going.
Well,
right.
that seems like a pretty seamless transition then. And I know Mystigard has a show coming up, like you mentioned, in October. Tell me a bit about how the MCC came back together for you.
Honestly, I just kind of thought, well, what? Yeah, I was like, well, what the hell do I have to lose? So I just called down to the bar one night. So I was literally sitting in a hotel for work. Because that's, I travel quite a bit for my job, and I was just sitting in a hotel one night, and I was like, what the hell? I'm just gonna call down there. I know the owner's down there, and I'm just gonna chat with her and see if she's got anything open. See if she wants to, let me do some shows back there. Let's just see what happens. And she basically, as soon as she picked up and we started chatting, she goes, "Where have you been, young man?" And so she's like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's get you back at it." And she came up to me, I want to say halfway through the show in June. She goes, "All right, when are we doing the next one?" I was like, "Oh, that's a good sign."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, so that's why we got October 9th now, and that will be my debut show with Mystigard.
Awesome, and congratulations for getting it up onto the stage. Tell me a bit about how you kind of envision going forward. Obviously, this won't be like a one-off event. This is kind of like you mentioned, it's a homecoming for you. What do you want to kind of create out of it? Do you want to do like a metal series, or is it more just kind of helping book bands as they come through? What do you want your participation in it to be?
That's a great question. I'm really glad you asked that. So I want to get it to a point where I am doing shows at least once a quarter there. And I want to have just at the bare minimum, four or five times a year, I got a show where I'm in charge of all of it. I get the bands booked. In a perfect world, I'd be playing every single time. And see where it goes from there. But the main thing is what's different about this time around versus the last run that I had with them, besides the sobriety, because I'll be honest, I made probably some sloppy booking decisions back when I was on the sauce. So it's nice kind of coming at it with a little clarity this time around. But then being able to keep it available for weekends. Metal in general doesn't always have the most positive reputation. And it can be hard to book original metal on a weekend. In fact, it took me, out of that 10-ish year run that I had with the MMC, it wasn't until year 6 or 7 that I was finally starting to get them weekend slots, right? So nowadays, because my 9 to 5 is so travel oriented and whatnot, I am not going to be putting on weekday metal shows there. So, I guess my goal is I want to be a resource for people in St. Paul to, hey, come play. And guess what? You're actually going to play on a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, right? You don't have to worry about, oh man, do I have to take work off the next day just to follow my passion, right?
Yeah, and that'll be huge for the Minneapolis metal scene too, because there's a very vibrant metal scene in Minneapolis, but there aren't necessarily the venues to sustain everybody that wants to participate in that scene of music. So that'll be huge.
Yeah, I'm really hoping I can help out with that, especially on the St. Paul side of things, because we don't have enough places to play in St. Paul. But if I can get a good base going at the MMC, then I absolutely will look out, to network a little bit and see what other bars I can create relationships with, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And with my current job bringing me all over the state, that gives me plenty of opportunity to network.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so,
Well, and I know
so yeah,
you have really good connections in that scene as well. As you mentioned, Will is really good in that scene, and then also I'm sure you're familiar with like Tempest and that group of people as
oh
well.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
um,
Yeah. Back in my Archangel days, I played many a shows with Tempest a long time ago.
yeah. So like I said, there's a very vibrant scene. I think everybody networking together to really kind of pull it together has been one of the boons for metal music in Minneapolis. Really, like you guys have kind of been like kind of the pillars that have been kind of holding it up all these years.
It's hard work, it's a lot. I mean, I remember plenty of times when I was doing that initial run. I mean, there was some months where it's like, holy fuck, man, I'm finding a last minute replacement
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of these bands, and talk about ways to kill a draw, right?
Yeah, yeah, it can be tough. Like, that's kind of one of the things that I learned from Tempest when I started doing my live shows was, you really got to pay attention to how often you're doing shows, and it's very important to not kind of oversaturate yourself because then you're just splitting your own audience.
Right. Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
all right. Well, so we caught up all the way up to Mystigard. You have a show coming up in October that I'm going to be very happy to help promote. What other
Thank you.
what other stuff do you have going on right now that you want to throw out there and make sure people are aware of?
Yeah, so brand new coming down the pike here. There's going to be a very fun project. It's called the Original Tough Guys, and this one is it's a hybrid project. So hybrid, I mean by location of where the members are. So in Minnesota, let's start here at home, right? Here in Minnesota, it's going to be myself handling the guitars and backing vocals and some of the keyboards. And then on drums, our good friend Will Maravalis. Fun fact: Will used to be in a satirical band that I had called Pistol Whip. Which after I found out that name was already used, I changed it to Discount Steel, and then that project went away with. And it was very stupid. Think Steel Panther, but without the talent, but just as offensive, right? So that was kind of that's where I was like, well, okay, so let me try something a little different this time around, but still on that fun side of things, that ridiculous side of things. So of course I was like, well, hey, Will, you want to be stupid with me again? He goes, yeah, let's be stupid. So we're, because we love cheesy action movies, we then decide, all right, let's keep this going. Let's put together a lineup. So on lead vocals, we got my buddy Ammo Boom. He is from the Ohio area. Out in the so I met him when I was touring with Thor. We played Cleveland, and he opened up for us with his band Gormerizer. It's a grindcore band, right? Well, this dude, you see him do the grindcore stuff, on stage, and you would never think that he'd have the voice and the vocal range that he does. But this dude can belt out, You're the Best Around from the Karate Kid soundtrack like nothing, right? And then switch right over to doing the growlies, So the dude's multi-talented. But much like Will and myself, he loves 80s action movies as well. So we brought him in for vocals. And then for bass, I got my buddy Jimmy. Jimmy Voila, he's out in Pittsburgh. Pennsylvania. He also goes by the Necrosexual. That's his main project out in Pittsburgh.
Okay,
A really
sure.
fun band. Really fun band. They also opened for us when Thor was on tour. So I met both those cats when I was doing an East Coast run with Thor. And both those guys, we just hit it off right away. And it was always, well, we should do something. We should do something, right?
Yeah.
So now it's finally time to do something.
Well, that sounds like
So
an awesome lineup. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be a 4-piece. The bass player Jimmy and myself will be handling keys. Ammo's handling the vocals. Will's handling the drums and the recording aspect of it. Yeah, we're getting to work on writing stuff. I would probably expect a full length album around the springtime.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah. It's well, we've had the ideas that we've been sitting on for a while because Ammo and I tried getting this up and going during quarantine, but I'll be honest, I was too drunk, so I flaked out on it.
Sure.
Uh, you know, I dropped the ball. So when I saw Ammo looking for an original project to do with no limitations on whether it be local or remote, I just called him out of the blue. Hey, Ammo, guess what? I'm out. I'm done with the booze. I'm sobered up, buddy. Let's make some music.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
that's definitely something to look forward to. Okay, so you have Mystigard. Have you set up socials for Mystigard so people
yep,
can click on it and follow you? And then
yep,
Minnesota Music Cafe. I know they have their socials out so people can check out your
yep,
shows going on there. And then your new
yep.
project coming up. Are you still kind of in the getting things together phase for that?
Yeah, so we right now, as we speak, my wife is finalizing the logo. Once the
Okay.
logo's done, then I'm going to create all the socials. So
Got it. Okay.
still stay tuned there. Yep.
All right. Well, I will
Uh,
definitely make sure as much of that gets put onto this interview when it gets published. For now,
awesome.
though, John, it's been amazing catching up with you. I'm very excited about everything that you have going on. What is your 2026 message to your fellow people on planet Earth that you think they need to hear?
Hey, here's the deal, guys. Don't let anything stop you. Right? We're living in uncertain times. We've seen a lot of crazy shit go down. We better make sure that we're prioritizing doing what makes us happy, guys. You don't want to end up looking back on all of it and going, I really wish I would have went for it. Right? So let's get rid of the excuses. Whatever it is that you want to do in life, hunker down, make it a goal, make it actionable, and make 2026 years, man.